You did mention that. You mentioned Armageddon and crisis,
Yeah.
and it could come as early as next week for some clubs.
Yeah.
Does this affect that 250 million that you've been looking for?
We've been looking for the 250 million. Look, initially we've got there are a certain number of clubs. It's been reported in the press this morning, so I'm not leaking anything that was said at board last week. There's probably 6 or 7 clubs who are really near the edge at tipping point, and that'll be either October wages or the end of October. About this point in time, about today roughly, we get the second half of the Premier League solidarity monies coming in, which would have been paid in January, so all the clubs have got that run about today, probably yesterday or today, and that was to see them through October. But there are a number of clubs, and I will have a few that I represent, probably 3, probably 4. I asked in a meeting yesterday if I could have the names, and I'll get them tomorrow so I can support them. And we've got to put a rescue package together by the end of October, no matter what happens with Project Big Picture. We have to put a package together by the end of October that saves those clubs going forward. Now, by the end of November, that 3 or 4, 6 or 7 in total will have accumulated, and there'll be more. So we've got to get the rescue package put in. But we shouldn't do it with our backs to the wall and say we'll take the first option. And that's not what we've done. So, and I think that's the right thing not to do. You know.
That leads into the next question I was going to ask, because let's be honest, the Premier League have got form.
Yeah.
They can use a stick to beat you and actually say, you know what we want.
Yeah.
Let's go there, or that 250 million, we might just sit on it.
Yeah. I think, listen, I was in 3 meetings yesterday, 2 of them with Premier League colleagues. There's no animosity towards the EFL or the clubs. I think they really want to help League 1 and League 2. I think they've got a bit of a problem with the Championship side. That's inevitable. I think they really want to help. I think they will help. And I'm still confident that we will be able to, first of all, if we've got to do it ourselves, we'll help the clubs out by the end of October. Those that are in need, not everybody, but those that are in need. Then I'm pretty sure the Premier League will. The problem is at present that they are indicating that there's cash there, but the caveats are too big for the 72 to accept.
And are these caveats away from the big picture caveats? Is it caveats that are completely separate to that?
Yes, to a degree they are away from the big picture caveats. They're more the caveats that affect real-time issues now, like promotions, relegations, like player registrations and various things. And the big issues that some of the 72 wouldn't be able to sign up to, because you'd be signing away potentially a long future, and you couldn't do that. And when we've ever taken money from the Premier League, and they've done well, they have tried to get it down to us, we've done it against the background of we've accepted standard contracts, we've accepted EPPP, and we've done all sorts of things. So I think now we're a little bit more cautious. We can't sign our future away, despite the fact that our back's to the wall.
So having seen the proposal as it's outlined, you'll have seen it in much more depth than what's been put in the papers. What's your view?
There's a lot in it I like, because obviously the lower league clubs get a lot more money. The key thing is not to put it into the clubs and pay it out in wages. Cause the whole thing to spiral again.
So no, there's a point. How do you protect against that? Do you then put in?
We've done the first bit of protection. We've got a thing called salary cap.
Yeah.
So we've kind of taken the first thing in on the road towards sustainability. We've taken the first steps, and League 1 and League 2 have done that. Championship are going to follow, and so yeah, there's a lot of things in the proposal that looks good. There's a lot of things in the proposal, in particular the power base going to the 9 longest serving clubs in the Premier League, that's going to cause some problems. But that causes the 20 problems as it is, because there's usually half a dozen at the bottom of the Premier League trying to run the other 14 anyway. So, I mean, they've got their own problems. So, and there's always got to be a way through this pyramid that the clubs from the bottom of the pyramid can actually percolate through to that golden prize of Premier League football, doesn't matter who you are. So there's always got to be a way through, and that's what makes the competition what it is, and they know that and we know that.
From Ian Holloway all the way up to Oliver Dowden, there's been some really negative reactions.
Yeah.
Has that surprised the AFL?
I was a bit surprised. I mean, most of the things that have come to me as a League Two rep have been relatively complimentary, and think that something in it. Ian Holloway has got his own views that are sometimes a bit radical, so that doesn't surprise me. Government, I've got to say, I'm not 100% sure that they fully understand the finance picture of football. They've got a fairly, and I understand where government are coming from, Oliver Dowden and DCMS have got a fairly standard approach to it, is that you appear to have money, so can you help yourselves? Now, I don't expect government to give us a blank cheque, and I don't expect government to write out a cheque, but I think government can help this football industry, because it's a key part of the community, and it's a key part of communities in England, and I think they can do it in other ways, and we are approaching them from that point of view. Oliver Dowden and even Boris Johnson, I think, has waded into it, his press secretary has. I'm not sure that they fully understand, so I think we've just got to keep ploughing on and try and educate more people about what's going on.
Almost a threat from Oliver yesterday, where he said the government could step in and actually look at the governance of football top to bottom. Can he do that? Well,
yeah, they could, and you could get a different form of governance coming in, and that's something that I think that we should be capable of governing ourselves. But I think, look, as the more people that are educated in what's happening in football, the better.
Any proposal comes with the outline that we've seen, and we're seeing a lot of percentages are getting thrown around, whether it's 8.5% to the FA in good causes, 25% of a revenue earned that will go to the EFL. What are these actual figures, John? Are you able to say what 25% of what?
Well, you're looking at 25% of their media revenue, which is a huge sum of money, and if I was able to get a hold of the figures, I would get a hold of the figures. In fact, I've got some of them on paper, which I can let you have, so we can probably pull out what those figures are, but the big numbers, and it will flow down into the lower leagues, and that's what's most important, and when we've got to be able to govern it properly.
A big worry, I suppose, from my point of view, I've watched the Premier League and I've watched them talk about for years now, taking some of these rights back for themselves. If we give the power to the Premier League, those clubs could, in theory, say, there's your TV deal today.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're looking at that, because we've got some big games we can sell ourselves here.
Yeah, look,
to stop that.
Well, there isn't anything unless you put together, when you do the whole package, you've got to put in the caveats and you've got to put in the controls that make sure that you have vetoes as well that would stop certain things happening. So when you agree to these sort of things, you've got to make sure that you put the vetoes in, but that's all to play for. It isn't like we'll just take what you offer. That's where it is. They are going to be selling more packages into Europe, into a bigger market, so that the face of the TV deals will start to change. When you get into this, the European Conference, a lot more clubs on a lot more countries will be playing football. So, well, as long as we've got the caveats, and as long as we've got ways that we can veto anything that might be detrimental to the EFL, we need to secure for as long as possible funding streams that would come down to the lower leagues, and they build up from the bottom, because we are then feeding the players into the Championship and up into the Premier League, as you've seen from the England teams of late. And you're seeing it coming through even from Carlisle. Our youth setups now, EPPP was never popular in 2012, 2013 when we put it in. But it's yielding things. You look at the success at the England level with the youth teams going through to the England teams, and you look at the success that we've had, you look at the success that Exeter's had selling players and this sort of thing. We would have loved to have kept, I would have loved to have kept a lot of our younger players. But that's not possible, because what's happened is we've got them taken from us and they've been able to move on. Branthwaite's a good example of that. We've got 2 or 3 at Leeds and so forth and so on. We've got Dean Henderson that's gone out, although he was pre-EPPP. So we have it is feeding into the game, and the game is better for systems that have been put in. But
these caveats, these vetoes, will they be strong? Will they be legally binding? Can we make it that strong that this power?
Yeah, I mean, the veto is a veto at the end of the day, and the FA veto, when they did the agreement, is that if they don't agree to the promotion relegation situation, then it just doesn't work, and that's it. So the vetoes work, and we saw that in this pandemic. So yeah, if they're done in the right way, it's right.
I suppose the question is, what's to stop it becoming 25% of absolutely nothing because they just bend the rules within it and we're powerless?
Well, that's true, but that's if you get into a case where you don't trust them. And look, it's got to be built on more than that. It's got to be built on trust. It's about English football, and currently it's about 92 professional teams. Currently. 20 and 72, they're talking about 18, it might be 74. There's no reason to think it's only going to stay at 72. It might be that you could bring another league in. It might be that we might adopt the 3 up, 3 down, all the way across the leagues. Why not? Why not in League 2 as well? You know, we can look at all sorts. So it's a no, but the fact is that they've kicked the ball off, so let's get going. And this afternoon we'll see what League 2 say officially.